parts of people like these things. I'm the gangster. I'm the pimp. I'm the rock. I'm the rocker. I don't like those boxes. I think humans have like this whole gamut, and I try to I try to deal with that and explore it and talk about my own personal, frustration, confusion, love, lust, anger, sadness, to talk about all those things. And, I continue to, it's for my therapy anyway, if nothing else. I try to make things that mean something to me.
Yeah, they want ghetto fabulous, especially when you can show them that you could give it to them.
Yeah, I don't have anything against that. That is a part of my personality, but I don't want to make 20 ghetto fabulouses.
Yep. Yeah. When I turned that on for my boy today, he just started going crazy. You know what I mean? He's like, "Oh, this was that shit. This was that shit back then, man."
Well, thanks, man. We working. Still working.
About ready to, let's get started, though.
Okay.
Let me get to your intro. Today, I have a very special guest. I make it my business to find artists with a different type of pen game. And today's guest pen game is different. He was around when lyrics actually mattered. He was around when you couldn't have whack lyrics. Kass, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, can you tell me about how life was for you growing up in Carson, California?
Well, let me make put an asterisk there. So I've always had, as far as I can remember, we always lived in Carson, but I grew up in Watts. I went to school there. I socialized there up until the middle of the 7th grade, 8th grade. So yeah. Watts is Watts. Watts riots is is infamous for the Watts riots. It's considered the east side of LA. It's the ghetto. It's the rough part of LA is considered. So I had a balance. I was able to, I lived in Watts, but then my parents worked and they would pick us up after work around 5 p.m. and then we go to Carson, and it's a suburb. Ironically enough, going to school in Watts was less traumatic for me than starting to go to middle school in Carson, which Carson was middle class, very, very mixed. It was about a 20% white, 20% black, 20% Mexican. I think combined, both families made over $100,000, which meant a lot back then. You know what I'm saying? 2-parent homes, and just in general, combined incomes of over $100,000. A lot of 2-story houses. So we were kind of considered the rich kids of the area, the suburb. But kids are assholes. So I was, like I said, I was more traumatized going to 8th grade. Like, well, these fucking kids are fucking insane. Like, running through, pissing in the showers. Just, I'm like, who the fuck raises these weird fucking kids? So I didn't have that type of shit didn't fly in Watts. You know what I'm saying? I was like, we're more civilized than because my father was all, he didn't like the ghetto at the time, Watts and all that. He wanted his kids to go to school in the burbs, and then the burbs was a fucking ridiculous. Little assholes were stranger than any more drugs than I had seen. I was like, these niggas is worse. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I had to ask you about the area because when you say Compton, everybody knows Compton. When you say Beverly Hills, everyone knows about it. Or Slauson, we heard about it. But Carson, it's like we don't know. We don't hear about that spot much here on the East Coast. So I'm glad you could explain that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, I explained it pretty good on the first couple of albums. Carson is literally the sister city of Compton. It's next to Compton. You can't get from Compton. You have to go through Carson to get to Long Beach. We're the city north of Long Beach, southwest of Compton. That's what Carson is. It's just when Dr. Dre found Snoop, they said fuck us. They just jumped right over us and promoted which they should. I'm not mad. So we got left out of the shout outs.
Another thing I want to ask you, the West Coast is heavily gang affiliated, blood and Crips banging on wax. Did you come out during that time, when everyone was banging on wax?
When that album came out,
Yeah.
I was a kid. I was what we call a non-factor. I didn't matter. I was 8, 9, 10. so we call that being a non-factor. Like you didn't hit puberty, you weren't in the streets, you wasn't outside. So yeah, but I remember it. It was legendary. I grew up, you know, in the 80s, late 80s, like, it was active. Like gangbanging was at an all-time high. So it was going down when all that stuff. Pretty much like out of everybody on those banging on wax out on that album, I believe like 95% of them are dead. Long time ago died. You know what I'm saying? Like because they was gangbanging. It was just crazy. Yeah, man. Me, I was I don't even think I was able to buy a tape back that at that point. Somebody else had it. You just hear it. I didn't even really process what was happening when that record came out. Really, yeah.
Can you tell me about when you first started rapping? Like what was it made you want to first get involved, in music and actually put your words on tape?
Good question. I was a moderate fan, a consumer. I would say a moderate consumer. Like music was something I enjoyed, but I wasn't like I gotta have music. I just wasn't that kind of person growing up. Um, but I think at some point around hearing "You Must Learn," KRS One, uh, hearing and maybe kind of work backwards. I had heard everything else, a big, I liked it all, but KRS One was the first person that kind of, for me, and maybe where I was at as a person, I was already kind of questioning what I was being taught in school, questioning religion. I was self-actualizing early, and so things that I was researching, I never heard anybody say that in raps about you know who invented the saddle. Black person created the air conditioning, created the stoplight. Like I didn't even learn that in high school. I was having to go get alternative information to even learn that. So to hear, so to hear somebody in a rap song, I never heard nobody in no jazz song. I never heard that in no rock and roll song. I never heard that in a fucking nothing. Never heard no form of music where somebody gave me historical information, factual, that not even my high school or not wasn't even in high school, whatever, junior high, whatever the fuck I was in, middle school, or maybe I was in high school. I just had never heard of somebody say that shit. And I was just like, this is different. And I always, wanted to, we all rap. Everybody sits around. You listen to your favorite songs. You repeat after them. You might freestyle with your friends. You're drinking. You're smoking. Seriously thinking like, hey, this is something I kind of want to try to do and record something. It probably was that. The catalyst would probably be KRS One.
So who was it that told you you're nice? You know what I mean? Who actually said that to you? In other words, how old were you when you realized that you were talented?
I was first person that told me I was nice and that made a difference in my life. Because most of my friends didn't understand. I use my vocabulary was just bigger than most of my friends. Just because my parents talk how they talk. I don't know. I just picked it up from them. But uh Battle Cat. So I was probably 15 acting like I was 17 when I met Battle Cat, DJ Battle Cat, that produces for Snoop Dogg and, obviously legendary Battle Cat. So he discovered me and my friend Bird at about 15 ish. And he pulled us under his wing. He had an artist and that got a record deal. His name was Box. And they kind of let us be the dancers while helping us advance. Like Bird was a producer and I was a rapper, and they were helping us get our music together while we were like the little dancers on the side. So it was cool. It was cool as fuck. He looked out. Him and Box. Salute to Box.
Did you ever get any
Oh,
backlash?
you know what? Time's out.
Yep.
Another asterisk. First person who told me I was dope was my friend, and we were playing dominoes. Probably 4 or 5 of us playing dominoes, and no, because Battle Cat had to hear it first. The second person that told me I was dope with my own songs was my friend. He didn't know it was me. I just played the demo that I made with Battle Cat and Wino, who produced all the Coolio stuff. And he heard my demo, and uh, Curtis from Patchwork Studios in Atlanta. So Kurt was my friend, and then I played him the 4 or 5 songs I had done with Battle Cat and Wino, and then he's like, "You dope." He didn't know it was me at first. He's like, "Who the fuck is this?" And I was like, "It's me." And he's like, "Yo, this is the dopest rapper." It was awesome. So, yeah. I'm sorry. Keep going.
So starting to rap, like, did you get any backlash because of the fact that your dad was a cop?
Nah. Mm-mm. Nobody gave a fuck about that. Nah. I got backlash because people didn't understand what I was saying. Like my biggest complaint from my friends was, you use them big words and we don't know what you're saying in the rap. What is fucking amalgamation means? What the fuck is that word? I got dumb friends, so that was that. So I thought I was whack pretty much until hearing Karis One have this extensive vocabulary and talk about history, because people, even now, like, rap got dumber. People don't use they don't talk articulate, they talk about the same shit. It's very rudimentary. um I believe that like a newspaper is written for like a 5th grade vocabulary, and most people can't even read a newspaper. Most people can't read at this point. So just say, people are dumb. I'm saying, I hate to say it, but it's true.
Like, how did you know what you wanted to rap about? You spoke about cat peelers, you speak about Jedis and hobbits and vampires, the O.J. Simpson case, Jeffrey Dahmer, religion.
I talk about myself. Those are part of my personality. I love sci-fi. I'm a fucking nerd. I love history. I love language. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the etymology of words. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in Marvel and DC. I'm interested in, Star Wars, as, maybe a little bit, yeah, more than I am Star Trek. You know what I'm saying? I'm interested in women. I'm interested in jewelry. I'm interested in going to clubs. I'm interested in my family. I'm interested in socio-political shit. I'm, I talk about who I am, as opposed. That's why I don't do a lot of, gang bang rapping. I was never a gang member. I mean, my friends, I don't do a lot of drug dealing in my rap because I didn't drug deal. I talk about my friends who did. I talk about me drinking, or my homies do what they do. We all had to do shit. In life as men, we have to fight. Sometimes we get beyond fights. Shit happens in life as men in the streets of America. But yeah, I mean, my experiences inform my writing. Whereas I think a lot of people just write what they think people want to hear, because they're not true. They're just making shit to sell to people, and I understand that business model. Um, it's more of a prostitute than an artist. You understand what I'm saying? A prostitute is here to sell you a service, give you some pussy for some money. Doesn't have to love you, like you, respect you, think you even smell good or anything. It's just a service. I'm not really here to do a service. I was here to be an artist and express myself, and kind of, hopefully, again, to reach people where if they can relate to one side, fine. If they can relate to cat pilling, if they can relate to, growing up in Watts, if they can relate to being in the burbs, if they can relate to fucking being a sci-fi nerd, especially black kids, that's, maybe 20 something years ago, not everybody was always okay with revealing they had a nerdy side. Everybody had to be tough. You know what I'm saying? Especially in rap, I wore V-neck sweaters on purpose and sweater vests. I did that on purpose because I'm from LA. Didn't want to wear a big fucking Raiders jacket and a fucking black beanie because I didn't dress like that in real life. Why the fuck would I dress like that to sell a record? I wanted to show people like, yeah, we exist in LA. I walk down the street and I wear V-neck sweaters and white V-neck T-shirts, and before it was popular, and then we exist in LA, and ain't nobody chasing me home. I do what the fuck I want to do because we exist, and I don't want to sell a stereotype. I wanted to sell truth, and that's the difference.
That's crazy because that actually, what you were saying, it actually makes sense with the way your music is too. How you heard about the creation of the air conditioner, you know what I mean? How you heard about the different stopwatch, I think you said, and the way you put out stuff in your music, it's very similar, man. I
Yes.
noticed that as you were saying it.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you tell me about the science behind your name? I want you to explain it because your name has a deep meaning and I like it. It sounds good as well, but when you actually find out what the meaning of it is, you're like, oh. So, I want
Okay.
you to explain the meaning of your name.
Well, cool. I'm gonna preface it. I'll try to make a long story short. Most of your biblical names, John, Mary, Joseph, whatever, they're Europeanized versions of Hebrew and Aramaic, not Arabic, but Aramaic. And the closest people that kind of speak Aramaic would be like Ethiopians and whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's the closer rooted language. Um, and so there are no J's in Hebrew. There are no J's in in Aramaic. So Europeanized, you got John. It would be more like a Yan, a Y for one. So when I was trying to find a name, I came across there was like a Black History Month, and there was a poster, and just had all these different people, Shaka Zulu and Mansa Musa, and just different people that did different things, whether it was in the antiquity in Africa or somebody contemporary that accomplished something here, Martin Luther King or something. One of the people that I came across was a guy named Kass. So when I was reading it, it's Raskass. I kept reading it. He was a prince of Ethiopia who was warring for a part of Ethiopia called Shoa in the middle of the second fighting another king of Ethiopia. But before he become Ras really implies like king. So it'd be like Sir Lancelot. So Ras is like king so and so. He was John the Fourth. He was John the Fourth. Huh? Can you hear me?
Oh, my bad. My bad. I just lost you for a second.
Okay, I can repeat it.
1 second. Let me wait till the lag gets off.
Okay.
All right, 1 second. Back to the stage. All right. Yeah, you're just a little glitchy right now.
Am I still?
Somebody might have interrupted your connection.
Interesting. You want me to call from the phone? Is it better?
Damn, we were just perfect. But if you have another thing you could click on with, it's just right now I can't even really see your face.
Okay, I know. Let me get out of the body.
All right, cool. I'm waiting on you.
Is that better?
Yo, all right, looks like we're about to be back. Yep, it's
Is
getting
that
better.
better?
Yep,
Okay,
just
let me see.
a little glitchy, but it's coming back.
Okay, I'm gonna go settings. Uh, okay, my bad.
No worries, man.
Uh-huh.
All right, let me see here. You're on a computer right now.
Yeah. Sorry. Is that better?
Oh,
Is it
oh yeah, that's perfect. We're back to normal.
okay? All
Yep,
right.
it's back to normal. Now I don't exactly remember where you were. You
I'll
did
just start it over.
you
I'll just
did
start it over.
yeah, you did get to the part where he was Prince of Ethiopia and he was
Right.
trying to take over a part of Ethiopia.
Yeah. So I was gonna say. So Kass was a prince who was fighting for a kingdom in Ethiopia called Shoa. Long story short, Kass, when I investigated a little bit more, he was John the Fourth. And so, and then Roz became his title, Roz Kass. He became that guy. And so, for me, I'm John the Fourth too. My great grandfather was John Austin. So for me, I felt like I wanted a name that meant something to my journey as a a Black American man, but also knowing the misrenaming of taking Europeanized names and trying to have something that was closer to my heritage, and so that I thought it was fitting to be John the Fourth, Jan, no J's. So I became Razzcazz, and then my son, who my firstborn son, I made his name is Raz. So in our, as far as we're concerned, he's the fifth. So he's Raz Austin. We're changing once again. For those that didn't catch the first part, John is a Europeanized version of an African name, of a Hebrew, of an Ethiopian, of a Jan. It would be Jan. No J's in Hebrew. So I wanted, as those things were modified for Europeans, I'm modifying it back as an African.
So you went and you got the name copywritten and all that, able to put it on albums and sell it.
Well, yeah, because you're once you get a record deal, your label does that because they, want to steal from you.
And I know you actually went over to Africa a few times. I saw some flyers. Did those shows end up happening?
Yeah, man, it's awesome. It's like, well, first of all, Africa's a big place. It's like 54 countries, so people really have a very fucked up understanding of Africa. It's like saying I came to America. Most people would be like, "Where?" Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, because Minnesota is not fucking Miami. So I went to South Africa. It was amazing. Uh, going to Senegal in a few, maybe next month, I think, or a couple of months from now. It's beautiful, man. It's so many places. You gotta remember, it's the biggest. It's the biggest. Uh, 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 Continent, like, and it's not even represented correctly on maps. Like, you could fit America and like most of Europe into Africa. It's a fucking big place. um it's insane, and like parts of China is crazy. It's a big fucking, like, Africa's fucking gigantic, and there's all these different cultures, people's histories, and obviously just bodies of water. So again, I always remind people to look on the map. Like, Europe and Africa are fucking next door to each other, literally. Just go over the water. You know what I'm saying? So all the Mediterranean shit. That's just the coast that go on both sides, from Italy and Greece all the way to where you would get to the Middle East, so-called Middle East, and then the rest, all of that is what they try to call North Africa to try to separate it. But Libya, fucking Morocco, Algeria, all that shit is Africa. And if you go to Portugal, you can get close enough where you can basically see Africa because they damn near connect. So Europe and Africa are extremely, you know, connected, but we have such a more like, you know, unfortunately, this probably was done intentionally, but we have a very limited idea of what Africa looks like, as opposed to having most of us. We know there's France and there's Spain, and you can go to the Swiss Alps, and then, you know what I'm saying, and all French people talk like this. Oh, oui, monsieur. You know what I'm saying? And then we think Africa like just one place where just niggas all look the same. It's insane. It's so I'm looking forward to traveling more, man. It's just so many places to go. You know what I'm saying? Like in cultures. The movie Casablanca, Humphrey Bogart, like that's in Africa. That's in fucking uh I think it's in Libya or whatever, maybe Morocco. Like I want to go. I heard of the movie. I didn't even know this shit was in Africa. That's real shit.
Yeah, I saw some flyers of you going out there, and I was like, damn, that's dope that his music brought him all the way over there. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
it just shows, you know what I mean? Even though you've had two albums, you've had a succession of other tapes. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, that's dope that his music brought him all the way over to Africa, man.
Yeah, man, it's a blessing, man. We keep working, man. It's such an interesting world out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing as much of it as I am allowed to, and I hope people, keep, get even more interested because I want to go see everything, man. I've never been to China, been to Japan a few times. It's just, Australia is fucking amazing. The people are amazing. It's just a vibe. So I just love seeing the world because then people can't tell me how the world is because I've seen it with my own eyes, with my own experiences. And I always advise most people to do that. Like travel is the best teacher. That's what they say. Travel is your best teacher.
So we're going back now. So you made your debut appearance on a track produced by DJ Battlecat, and he was putting down that West Coast sound. You know, it was real organic. How did you get lined up with such a good producer so early on?
Oh yeah, just going back to it, he discovered me when you asked me the first person that told me I was dope. It was him.
He
Yeah,
actually discovered you. That's crazy to get put on by DJ Battlecat.
yeah. I was 15, about 15, acting like I was 17. So yeah, oh, yep, cat.
So
Salute.
Nas and anything you could share with us about DJ Battlecat and your relationship, how he pushed you further at that young age?
Yeah, man. Me and of my friend, uh, and his name was Bird. We would make these tapes. Um, I had a turntable. He had a mixer with a sampler on it. And we would just diss each other. We pulled all our records together, and then we would go in and like spend an hour a piece and uh, make these tapes to battle each other. And one of the tapes, this one particular time, came out really good. We liked it. It was really just funny shit. We would diss each other like a diss battle albums that we would make. And anyway, when Cat was dating Bird's older sister, um, and Bird had the gumption to give him the tape. And this dude was way older than us and successful and on the radio station he was already the man. The fact that he even took the time to listen to a tape from fucking some 15, 16-year olds just shows, he had a good heart. Because, I wouldn't have listened to those stupid fucking kids. And it wasn't polished. It was just a bull. Like, it was just us in a garage. And then he came out, like one day he pulled up, like not too long after Bird had given him the tape, which I didn't even know initially Bird gave him the tape. I probably would have talked him out of it, to be perfectly honest, because I wouldn't have wanted to get dissed. But he came up to us. He was in the house, and we were outside doing some kid shit, whatever, probably talking shit or, whatever. Anyway, he came out and he just was like, "You are dope at beats." He pointed to Bird, and then he pointed to me. He's like, "You can rap." And then he started taking us to the studio, man. And he fucked with us and helped us develop and started producing for me. And then me, because I got such a weird idea of kind of what I like, because I'm a kid that liked Duran Duran, so I'm always trying to sample weird shit. It was not, you know, the normal status quo West Coast shit. And then even then it was a little more East Coast, hip, because I Gangstar and KRS One is my favorite rapper. So my perception of what I wanted to rap over was a little bit different than most of, I would just say what was out in mainstream from the West Coast at the time. And for him to even to want me to develop myself and find who I was on a mic and to spend that time because I didn't have no money. You know what I'm saying? He was investing his time, money, and energy into us, and a lot of people won't do that. And I always say that, that's part of what keeps me, humbles me, and makes me want to help other people because I'm only the results of people that gave a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And if we realize that we could all do that for each other, we'd be in a better world. And so I'm very grateful to Battle Cat for seeing something in me. Wino the same way, because from there I started working with Wino, still a kid, um, and Wino was about 16 by then, and they saw in me what I didn't even see in myself and allowed me to develop and become. And they were older than me, and maybe they were 19 or 20, and seeing that if I was 20, I'd probably be thinking, this kid, fuck this kid. He's running all over the place, getting in trouble. They never gave up on me, and I'm really grateful to them. And I always try to pay that forward. So yeah, that's what I say about Cat. Cat's just you know, he really cares about the art, and it makes him willing to invest in people that may not have money. He invests in talent, and I can say that like I felt like I've seen that in like Dr. Dre. Like I've seen him like just invest in people that he doesn't have to. He really loves the culture. He loves hip hop, and if he thinks somebody's dope, he's willing to give them a shot and help them develop themselves, and that's cool, man. That's honorable.
So Nas and Lauren Hill are running around doing "If I Ruled the World." I gotta ask, how did you get on a song with two legendary artists? I'm talking about Wake Up Show '94. How did you end up with those two artists?
Um, Again, that's people that giving a fuck about you. So by then, I have a demo out and like a vinyl maybe, and I'm going to the Wake Up Show on a consistent basis. They had moved down from the Bay to Los Angeles, Swan Tech, and I developed a reputation for killing rappers. That's kind of what I was. Yeah, that's what I did. I killed MCs, not just West Coast MCs. I went there to kill MCs. So if somebody from New York was there, I went there to kill them. And so they honestly, it's the truth. You young, you hungry, you want yours, and I felt like I was prepared, and I wanted to, and I felt like we had an unfair bad reputation as not being good rappers on the West, and I was there to prove that we could rap good, and not just for a West Coast rapper that I can beat your East Coast rapper. I don't care about that, and so by that point, I had got on with quite a few soon to be legendary, MCs, period, ODBs and, KRS Ones and so and so's. I had rapped with whoever they brought, OC, like whoever got on that show and I was in town, they called me and I would go get busy. And so when they were ready to do an anthem, which was crazy and super, like, that showcase, that's an opportunity. They had Lauren Hill, they had Nas, and they had Pharaoh Monch. Well, they had Organized Confusion, and Pharaoh's one of the greatest underrated. Also, he's one of the illest MCs ever. Big fan, always was a big fan. Now I get to consider him a brother, but to put me in that, it was sink or swim, and I just was. I rose to the occasion. I definitely felt confident once they, because I didn't get to hear Nas's stuff. They was just like Nas doing his. It was just a hook at the time when they gave it to me. Well, I didn't give it to me. I had to go to the studio. They played it, and then I had to write my rhyme and record it. And maybe Pharaoh was on there, maybe Organized Confusion. I'm not sure, but that was crazy. And that's the thing about getting the opportunity. If you get the opportunity and you fumble on the 1 yard line, that's nobody will remember. But if you get the opportunity and you fucking run it back 100 yards, that shit becomes a highlight. So for me, it was a blessing because I know I didn't drop the ball on that. But they gave me that opportunity, Swan Tech. Out of all the other MCs that were, paying dues and some more successful than others, they were like, you represent West Coast hip hop. We need you to step it up, get busy, and I feel good.
Yeah, that's crazy to get, put on a track with Nas on. Did the two of you ever get to meet?
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Many a times. We had some very interesting conversations. I actually saw Nas the day he dropped Ether. So that was one of my highlights of just being a fly on the wall in hip hop. I was in New York, D&D, that's closed now. But yeah, I hung with Nas for hours the day he dropped Ether. Me, him, and just me, him, and Premier at D&D. So that shit's crazy. Yeah, but yeah, I've seen him quite a few times. Talked to him. Um, we've actually discussed doing songs, doing a song together. Like one time, he was just like, "Yo, your record didn't come out," like whatever. And then he was like, "Yo, we got to do," because Nas is like, "Yo," he's like real peaceful, like kind of chill. Like, "Yo, we should do." So it was really cool. One time, he was just like, "Nas and Roz, like, yo, that'll be ill." I was like, "No, man." I'm like, "Come on, man, let's do it." So I hope one of these days that we actually do the Nas and Roz. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, what's the real time, version of that looking like? Because right now, I mean, if you know what I'm saying, with all social media, if you drop something, somebody's going to be getting blown up 10 million times. If Nas were to drop Ether and you were with him, just the real time reaction this day and age, like, what is it like back then? Is anybody even, people can't be hearing the song as quickly as they would this day and age?
Well, I watched, which is, watching that record in that time because it can only happen in that time the way it did. Um, uh, Specifically talking about Ether, I can time it by just phones. I had a two-way pager back then. That's what I know I had. So I was in town to work with DJ Premier. I woke up that morning. I flew in the night before, whatever, and I had studio at D&D the next day. So in the morning, I woke up and I went to get a haircut in the Lower East Side. So I left Times Square and went down to the Lower East Side in New York, and where I would always go to get a haircut, which was highly Spanish, a lot of Latino brothers. And at the time, they were big Jay-Z fans, period. And as we all are, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have a dog in the race, so I didn't give a fuck. Nas, Jay-Z, Tupac, Biggie, I think they all dope. I didn't want, I'm just a fan of the craft, and I love battles too. So I'm a fan of battles too. If you niggas get into it, prove who the best. But yeah, when I got to the barber shop to get a haircut, there was a discussion and there was a big argument. One barber is outvoted because he's the only person that's like a diehard Nas fan. Everybody else, the other four barbers and people coming in getting their haircuts, are more leaning towards Jay-Z. But then Flex dropped. Apparently, Flex had dropped the mixtape that morning, so everybody was going to the bodegas or wherever and buying. So now there's a physical CD. So the barbershop's just playing the CD now. Dude comes in with the Flex thing and starts just playing Ether, and that becomes the topics of discussion. That the whole thing, the whole stereotype of the barbershop where people debate, and that's who you're arguing about who the best rapper or the best basketball player or the best. You know what I'm saying? That's the barbershop discussions. And I watched that. Now, what I didn't know is that Flex had also played the record in the morning and played it 3 or 4 times in a row. And just so now we're talking about reaching millions of people all at once, and that who go to work in the morning, and then he's playing his record, and everybody went crazy. But so Nas was very strategic with Flex about releasing that record. For one, it got all the now yeah, of course you could put it on something on, it could go viral, but that was like how their viral had to be a lot more strategic, and it did exactly what it's supposed to do. So the mixtape came out in the morning. Flex played it in the morning, played it 3 4 times, did the bombs, and honestly, i I didn't hear it on the radio because that probably, if I would have known that as much, or if I would have heard that, I probably would have been able to kind of gauge what was going to happen. Because at the time, the general consensus was, nah, takeover, Nas was done. Like Jay-Z won. That's kind of what the industry, the streets, everybody's like, what can Nas say after this takeover? And then Ether drops. And I remember being in the barbershop and texting my A&R who was in Los Angeles at Capitol Records. And I was just like, I don't know, man. I'm really feeling like Nas got a shot because I'm hearing the song. I'm like, you gotta wait till you hear this Ether record, man. This shit is kind of crazy. It wasn't no, you know what I'm saying? Like Flex might have been the only person that had the record at that point. You know what I mean? Like in that morning, 8 a.m. or something. So by 11, maybe now that maybe their email. Did they have email back then? I don't even know, bro. Like
Yeah,
I
no
don't even know if
major email blast back then.
right. Yeah, I don't
You know what
know.
I mean?
Like
Probably, but yeah, that would be a factor into it for sure. If there
yeah,
were.
because it seemed like it took a while to grow. I think it just had to be in New York. You had to have a mixtape, or you had to be on Hot 97 for it to play. I think that's kind of how it happened because then, let's say by 4 o'clock, now I'm over at D&D with Premier. He like, yo, you heard the Ether shit? I'm like, bro, I've been at the barbershop. I just came, man. I've been hearing Ether all day. It's crazy. And then lo and behold, in bops Nas, because he's going to do something. He's working next door to us. So then that got interesting. Um, and then going to that night, I did Golden Child, like the first verse, which I won one take, Willie did, which only a few MCs did that according to Premiere. Like a perfect take. And that was Biggie and Nas. So I was only the third person to ever do a perfect one take verse on a Premiere record. Everybody else is lying. Now I don't know since then, but at that point, the only people to ever do a perfect one take verse was Big and Nas, and then Raz. Period. That's one of my claim to fames. But yeah, we went out that night. Well, Preem didn't go out. I went out with my friends, and we happened to run into Dame, Dash, and Jay Z. Um, and I knew Jay was my label mate, so I knew Jay, and I had actually stayed at Jay's house when I was working on Rat Assassination on my second album. So he's a big brother of mine, and we all went in the club and sat together, and that's why like that whole day is one of my like great, like one of them great times to be in hip hop and be a fly on the wall because I got to see it all happen and the virality, like the viralness of that record and the impact of it, even the effect it had on Nas, and I got to watch the effect it had on Jay because we were at this very exclusive club. It was going up. I remember because I've only seen him and met him once. David Justice was sitting next to us at the table next to us, and he had this really hot chick dancing on top of his table. I'll never forget that. And then the DJ played the fucking Ether record with Jay-Z sitting here. And I remember he played it in the club, went up, it got popping. Not like boo, and they know Jay's here. So it was one of them, he got it. And that's when I was like, oh, yeah, Nas got it. It's hands down. Like New York has voted. The DJ knows Jay is here and is playing the Ether record. And I remember he wanted Dame to tell him not to play it, to turn his record off. And Dame tried to tell the dude to turn the record off. And the dude did not. The dude played the record again. And the club kept going up. And that's when I knew, honestly, I was like, like he won. This is it. Like New York has voted. And once New York voted, I knew the rest of the country, they didn't have a choice because you Busta Rhymes and, this is the Mecca. And once the Mecca is kind of decided, the Mecca, they decided. And it was crazy. It was an ill day in hip hop for me as an outsider, you know what I'm saying? But kind of a bit of an insider, but I'm not from the East, you know what I'm saying? And, if you would have told me I would have seen Nas and Jay-Z on the same day, I don't even see them most days. You know what I'm saying? I just don't see them all the time. So you would have told me I was going to see both of them dudes the same day that record dropped. I'm probably one of the only people that can say that. You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy.
That
Yeah.
is insane, man. You had mentioned your record deal. Can you tell me about your first deal with Priority and EMI Records? Was it a good deal? Did they know how to market you?
No, man. Unfortunately, my company didn't. And without, I don't want to like harp on the past. My company didn't know how to. Jay Z was my label mate, and his first album didn't perform well either. He was just able to get out of his deal, and that's when he went to Def Jam. I wasn't as lucky, and so was Pharoah Monch. So was a lot of talented people went to my company, but they only kind of knew how to market the gangster rap thing. That was their expertise, and what they, unfortunately, what they didn't know, they doubled down on being ignorant as opposed to listening to their artists and say, "Look, man, this won't work. We're trying to do this. We're not the gangster rapper guy. You can't market us the same way. It's all music, but it's a different. Ours is going to lean heavier towards Japan or towards Europe or towards the East Coast, but at that time there wasn't really even a South. That wasn't a factor. You know what I'm saying? The South was probably buying more West Coast stuff at that particular point. So I think they were trying to, because they were trying to pander that way, and our music wasn't resonating that way. We weren't resonating towards the Southern people. The lyricists don't. Lyricists just reach who they reach, until you get a big record. Nas had "I Ruled the World." In general, we're not the superstar people until you get one of them records. Then you become Nas or Eminem or Kendrick. Like, all the superstars come out of the lyricists, but it's hard to break a lyricist initially. Is what I'm trying to say, because they don't make as much of the mundane, straight party, ignorant records that it takes to make hit singles all the time. They usually have to come up with some kind of conceptual, clever that catches on. And so our company didn't get it, and it was unfortunate. It became a war of attrition with us, and I think it became even more personal with me and Capitol Records. So it ended up just being messy. Me suing to get fired, and I think being spiteful, like holding my career up, finding out people were doing things intentionally to mess up, to mess with my career. Like, people acknowledging that, saying it. Some people have actually acknowledged it and said it to me and apologized that they sabotaged my career, and people I didn't do anything wrong to, which that was hurtful. People play with your lives because they can sometimes, and they have egos, and they want their artists to be more successful, so they figure if they sabotage yours. But the one thing I realize is that there's enough oxygen for everybody to breathe, but unfortunately, sometimes greedy people they just want all the oxygen, which is weird. It takes a weird personality to have that much emptiness in your heart to want to fuck somebody else's stuff up, because you're playing with human lives and people's dreams and their hard work. But it happens. I'm not unique in that situation. There's been a lot of people that had their dreams derailed and their careers derailed. I guarantee you that out of everybody in this music industry, you have probably only met, you probably only heard of, and I'm talking about at your elite 1% core. For every one of them, there's 5 people better than them, I guarantee you, that got fucked over for one reason or another. Politics, they didn't do a Weinstein, they didn't let Weinstein and Diddy get them something. Telling you, dude. I've watched it. I watched, simple as this. It ain't even got to be as fucking dastardly as somebody hating on you. You ever watch like a movie gets greenlit, and then the head of the studios leaves, and then they get a new head of Sony, and all those movies that got greenlit just died. So that means wardrobe lady ain't got no job. The actor nigga, all that, because he has a different agenda, and he wants to bring in his movies. He wants to do, they just did it to the Batgirl movie and all that shit with at DC. Like, it's crazy. Like, but what they don't realize, I mean, they do realize, but for them, it's just the cost of doing business. Like, yo, you just fucked off $40 million, and then let alone how many people's jobs that you just X'd them.
Yeah, that's true, man. Brendan
Right.
Fraser is an example of that.
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser from The Mummy. He was looking forward to returning in that Batgirl movie, for instance, and that was going to be his first major role.
Yeah,
Now, it would have set him up nicely for Killers of the Flower Moon, which he made
right.
his return in as well. I know exactly what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? I was speaking with Young LA from
Mm-hmm.
T.I.'s label, and he
Mm-hmm.
actually went to Interscope and he chose the people that put out Soldier Boy's album to do his rollout, but they all got fired.
And then you're doomed, right, man? It happens, man. So it's not even always like evil, somebody Illuminati. Is just the cost of doing business is hard, man, and it's a roll of the dice. You might be lucky enough that your executive and your A&R, they don't get fired and they can push the button and get you where you need to go, because you can do all the right stuff and do your job well, be affable and nice, and somebody gets fired and you're fucked. It's just done.
Or they move on to another job. I mean, look at all the artists that Jay-Z brought over to Def Jam, and then he ended up leaving Def Jam after what, like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and it
But
puts careers in limbo. So yeah, it happens, man.
yeah, Priority dropped your first album, Soul on Ice. That's a deep name. Give me the breakdown on why you called that your first, why you named your first album that.
Yeah, well, Solo Nights was a book written by a dude named Eldridge Cleaver, who was a Black Panther. So that book is while I was being a juvenile delinquent asshole. That's one of the books my mother bought me when I was in juvenile hall. And it just resonated with me reading his. It was kind of like an autobiography, but it wasn't like linear. He would just kind of have like these chapters about first time he fell in love, first time he like fucking shot somebody. You know what I'm saying? Be random. And so, excuse me, what resonated with me about it, what I thought was interesting, which is why I formulated my album the same way, is it was kind of him doing these snapshots and these little time capsules of his life, not in any particular order, of him trying to understand where he went wrong, but not, or where he went right. Like, oh, maybe I should have stayed with my wife, or he was having regret, but then he would share positive moments. He shared regretful moments. He shared violent moments, despicable moments. It was, and that's what I tried to do, and what I always try to do, but intentionally on Solo Nights. That's how it all started. I was like, I love what resonated with me about his book was him trying to deal with himself, not kind of always talking about everybody else. It was like, how do I react to this? Or this was what made me happy. Or damn, I fucked up because she was a good person. Or damn, man, my homeboy betrayed me. Or damn, I betrayed my homeboy. What did I do wrong? You know what I'm saying? I sometimes look at inward about how you fucked up, and it wasn't linear. It just happened to be happy, sad. It's the human experience, and so uh I tried to cover that in my rendition of Soul on Ice. And really the metaphor is we all have a soul. It can be socio-political, it could get a little more uh, racial overtones to it if you want to apply it. He's in the 60s. He's Black power, soul power, and ICE being the system of white supremacy in America. So that soul is being stifled by white supremacy. That black spirit being trampled on by white supremacy, by uh, 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 first of all, slavery, then every other thing that they continued to do, whether it was redlining, where we couldn't live in places, burning down fucking whole cities that black people had, miseducating, lying, and not telling us that we designed Washington D.C., that we fucking made saddles, then telling us that they swung on trees in Africa. Lies that we have been stifled. So that I think it was multi-layered, and that's how I try to do mine. That my soul has been on ice and stifled by even my own family system. Having most families are not perfect families, so all the shit, all the trauma you introduce by your own crazy fucking family, and then the crazy world you go into, and then societal issues, then financial issues. You got to get some money out here and all that. So that's what it's about. That's what Soul Nice represents.
Wow, that's crazy to hear. Your mom gave you the book, man. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So On Earth as It Is, a song off your debut album, you reference thug life, saying, I'm living thug life in the afterlife. Why did you reference Pac on your debut album like that?
Oh man, Pac was very for me. He was just he had so much savoir faire. He was just a very fucking. He was an ill cat to me. I just so as that teenager, I bought the first album and played it for my girlfriend who didn't like it. Pac's first album was very Pan Africanism, and Brenda's got a baby, and he's dealing with. So a lot of what I am is also uh, it's encouraged by him. It wasn't predicated by him, but I was seeing other people doing. After KRS One, then I'm hearing Rakim with a 5% Nation point of view of looking at things, and I'm hearing, all these different MCs. Ice Cube, America's Most Wanted, Scarface. People are saying socio-political things in their own way, expressing their disappointment in the judicial system. Fuck the police. NWA. So Pac has his way of doing it, and he was one of the first people I saw kind of doing it more Pan Africanism, um, and watching him kind of evolve where he had these really high ideas, and then he kind of like condensed them into the thug life thing, which was so. Think about it. Any government needs a military, right? And so what's the most smallest common denominator of your military to enforce? So is your gang, your team. So that I kind of watched Pac simplifying the concept of Pan Africanism, Black people protecting themselves, and then making it the gang. You know what I'm saying? So it's the street gang. Whatever. And so I thought it was brilliant. And I just wanted to allude to that. I always had a lot of love for him. My older friends, even when I was younger, they were in thug life. Those are like rated R, and all of them were my homeboys who might have been like, it's dog years back then. But when you like 16 or 17, or then your friends might be 19, 20, 21, and they gang members. You know what I'm saying? So, well, allegedly. Anyway, but so when he was with Thug Life, those my homies. I love it. So I was always super supportive of it. And, once I got a chance, and then I ended up meeting and becoming like part of my family is the digital family. That wouldn't happen until after Solo Nights though. But I referenced Pac because he the same way I reference anybody I fuck with. You know what I'm saying? I reference Wolverine. Like I reference shit I like. So I like Pac shit. I was like, yo, I'm gonna live a thug life in the afterlife. Yeah.
So, were you able to take up a relationship with Pac? Like, how were you two able to build over the years?
Yeah, man. So Pac, uh, Money B approached me after Soul on Ice, and at a show in Frisco, and then from there I became that became like a big part of my family. Like Shock G, rest in peace. So obviously Pac's part of that family. Cletus Mac, the Looney. So all of us, we became part of that family. You know what I'm saying? I consider them like my family. Like I'm closer with them than I am with a lot of these West Coast MCs. Like I'm really tight with them. So by extension, Pac too. Um, he he always showed me love. He actually, when he was in prison, he wrote a letter of his favorite. He wrote his perfect album, and he wrote it to Wendy Day. He had this perfect idealized album, and part of his perfect album was me with Easy Mo B. And so when he died, that's why on Rat Assassination, I did 2 Easy Mo B records for Pac. That was my way to honor him. Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Like even on Machiavelli, I'm on the song with Chino XL, and so when he say fuck Chino XL, fuck, you know what I'm saying? They just Exhibit, they just Chino XL. I'm on the song with Chino say the line about Pac. And at the time, Chino's my brother and love him now, but at the time we didn't know each other well. I had done it really more so as a favor to Rick Rubin because Rick Rubin had signed Chino. So when Pac went off, I'm listening to Machiavelli like, fuck, my name is next. I'm on this song. And I had put myself in the crossfire because the Outlaws told me ahead of time that Pac had a song basically where they was dissing Exhibit on Bomb First. Got something for the nigga that made paparazzi. If you ain't in this game for the motherfucking fame, then what is your motherfucking purpose? Non-service. That's to Exhibit. So I'm the person that jumped in the middle of that and was like, yo, tell Pac. I told the Outlaws, like, yo, tell Pac. Exhibit wasn't talking about Pac when he said his money and the fame thing on paparazzi. He made that song 2 years ago. These are demo songs. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like it just, it was, it was, it just so happened that Pac made How Do You Want It? All I Want the Money and the Fame. So he thought his shit came out. Pac did his before, I mean, after, like more recently, it came out before Exhibits. And then when Exhibit dropped Paparazzi, Pac thought Exhibit was shooting at him. And it was just irony, and he was wrong. So I threw myself in the middle of that to let the song was already made. Bomb First was already made for Machiavelli, but they told me about it. So I made it a point to reach out and say, no, he didn't. But then I thought, I'm gonna really get it. He's gonna get me because now I'm trying to defend Exhibit, and I'm on this song with Chino that I can't defend. I'm gonna get it. And him being gracious, you know what I'm saying? And I know because the money being them, I'm part of the family, so he didn't go at me. You know what I'm saying? Pac he didn't mention me, and and I was holding my breath, and I remember just thinking like, I'm gonna get it, man. He's gonna get me. He's gonna fuck you, Kass too. And I was just waiting through the whole album, like he's gonna get me, and he didn't. And then, to make a long story short, once my album came out, before because he hadn't passed yet, my album release party, I did the two songs with Mo B in honor to him. Um, and he called Capitol, and I happened to be in the office and asked for 60 tickets, and that was surreal. So that's
I lost you again.
Oh, okay.
But I remember where we are. You called Capitol. Now you're glitched out right now. I can't see your face. Just give it a second. Or what did you do last time to get it right? That is fucking nuts, though. Yo, Rouse, can you hear me still?
Is that better?
Yep, we look like we're about to be back normal again.
Yeah, sorry, man. I don't know what the hell is going on today.
All right, hold on.
I don't normally have that problem. It's weird.
You're back to normal. You're back to normal. You were saying you hit Capitol up for 60 tickets?
Tupac did.
Okay, all right. Go back to that part.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, during Rat Assassination's release party, I happened to be at the president, the owner of our company and the president. His name is Brian Turner. And I happened to be in his office about some unrelated shit. And I remember his secretary was like, she's like, sir, and he's like, what? And she's like, Tupac's on the phone, and he's looking at me. I'm like, yo, this is weird. And he got on the phone. He wanted 60 tickets to my show, and I'm like, I remember he muted it. He's like, what do I do? I was like, give it to him. What the fuck you supposed to do? I mean, you can't tell him no. And honestly, I was still thinking he's gonna come get me. I was like, he's gonna get me, bro. He's gonna come to my show with 60 people and get me. But I don't even think he didn't even make it. I don't think he sent some people. They showed super love. It was dope, man. So I always got a lot of love from the brother, and I really do wish I knew him more at the time. I knew Mun more. I knew Money B and Shock G more, and he was Pac. He was on top of the world. So it's like for me, I was always hesitant to talk to, you know, people I'm a big fan of. I'm more like distant because like for a while he let me down, but I used to like Bill Maher a lot. And I remember I met him and we were in the bathroom and I was just like, hey man, because I'm a fan of smart people or dope people, whatever that, whatever, socio-political people. Um, and I just, I always found it hard to I didn't want to get rejected or look like a groupie. So my whole thing was always just to be kind of distant and far from like, hey man, peace. So even meeting Nas or meeting Premier, I was always like, yeah, like yo man, anytime I meet RZA, Wu Tang, all there's so many dope people on the planet that do amazing things, But things, for me, I usually would stay distant. It's been just only within the past 10 years I've really learned how to just tell people like I'm a really big fan. I love what you're doing, because I guess I'm kind of shy in that way. It's not like ego. I just used to just be like, yo, man, that shit is dope, man. You fucking dope. And a lot of times people thought that I was like conceited just because I just didn't know how to like. I just like yo peace, you know what I'm saying, and walk away because I didn't want to bother people. I'm like, man, I'm a big fan, so I didn't know how to communicate that, which is a very LA thing. It might be a very man thing. Not really know how to give people their flowers. Now we have a term for it. Now we're like, oh, give them flowers. Before it was just, I give props. I just don't know. I don't want to look too groupie-ish on somebody, so I didn't know how to give. I didn't know how to give the props, but I guess I'm older now. It's just like, man, you dope, man. I love what you're doing. And if somebody says get away, peon, I'll be like, all right, whatever, cool. But at least I told you, you're good.
So, were there issues with Jay-Z and Tupac?
I mean, I wasn't. I'm not their. I'm neither one of them's best friend. They're older than me. They're big brothers to me. Um, I'm sure Pop. I'm sure. Obviously, he felt some way. He said, "Fuck Jay Z."
Oh, because Jay-Z was Biggie's one of his top
Maybe,
dogs.
maybe I don't know.
Uh,
I never, I wasn't privy to that. Um,
I thought I seen something where you said that you went to Tupac and told him about you were going to work with Jay-Z or something like
well, I
that.
did do that. I did. I had to clear up because I was going, yeah. But I
You
mean,
went.
I didn't ask any fucking questions. I just made it clear. And that was really through an emissary. That was really with monning him around, like, yo, tell Pop I'm going because I was going to go, and I knew I was working at Hitchman Studios, and I also knew that was partially the situation. I knew he had an issue with Jimmy Henchman because he would say it in his raps, and I was going back to that studio where he got shot, Quad. And so I didn't want it to seem like I'm hanging out with the same people that set him up.
So
So I knew, that was just part of respect to say, look, bro, I know you got big issues. I think I'm fine, and I'm not even going with directly the same people, but it's interrelated, and I don't want you to think I'm siding with those people. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to do some business, and I may be even in that same place where you were at. You know what I'm saying? I don't want it to seem like I condone what happened to you because I don't.
did you ever speak with Pac about getting shot out there?
I didn't. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's crazy the fact that I've actually been to that studio. It's a very everybody goes there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Those
Mm-hmm.
elevators.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
just, I mean, how he got shot in the whole setup. And, I know we have lots of mutual friends, east and west. You know what I'm saying? Some things I would never know the truth because everybody's giving you their point of view as opposed to what the truth is. Only them cameras can tell the truth. You understand what I'm saying? Or Tupac's eyes and the niggas that shot and talked. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody else is speculating. I don't like to speculate about shit that a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like even who killed Tupac or who killed Biggie. If you don't know, I don't even like to. I don't want to guess because then you incriminate people or you put yourself out there about shit that you don't fucking know about. So don't do that. I don't do that.
So we're still talking about Soul on Ice. You had a quote on Anything Goes, and you used the famous quote, "If it does not fit, you must quit."
Quit.
Why did
Mhm.
you decide to use that audio, on your album about OJ Simpson?
Because it was very symbolic of what the song was about. The song was about uh that capitalism has no morality. Capitalism ultimately is about if you can win and get away with it. And so whether OJ did it or not, the point was that that was so emblematic of whether he did it or not. It's what you could prove, not what whatever people thought they knew. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't prove the glove didn't fit. You must have quit, and so it just went hand in hand with that song that I was writing. Legal or illegal, however you make your cash flows. Big Bang, take Little Bang, which is just a game ball. I didn't never play it. Dudes with a lot of money, they'd be like, "How much you got in your pocket?" Big Bang, take Little Bang. You know what I'm saying? Whoever had the most takes all the money. It's like a quick gambling game for rich people or hood rich people. Um, yeah, I just think it fit. It fit the concept, and it personified that there's no morality in capitalism. I always tell people, the best capitalism was slavery, because the whole point of capitalism is to spend as little as possible to make as much as possible. So if you don't have to pay somebody a wage, and you can kill them and you can make them reproduce and then do that to their kids, it's great capitalism. Is it good morality? Not at all. But that's my whole point, that capitalism doesn't have morality.
So how did you feel about OJ Simpson's recent death? Crazy. He just died a few months ago in April.
I didn't feel no way about it, to be honest. um I didn't know the man. um he never really seems like he didn't seem like he gave a fuck too much about other black people. So he's not one of us. So good for him that he got some money, and I guess maybe maybe beat a murder rap. I don't know if he did it. I don't know. But I don't give a fuck about OJ. I'll be honest. Never did.
Yeah, it's crazy that your album actually dropped just about a year after his acquittal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's like right there in the controversy. And I know you have said in the past that your album was ready a year prior to that.
exactly, exactly. I had to go through finding out that my production company was stealing and it was all bad. So I had to go through a whole situation to get my new deal with the production company, and that pushed my album a year back, at least a year back, actually.
You also had a Coolio feature on your album. The song was called Drama. Can you tell me how did that collaboration come about?
Oh yeah. So when I said Battle Cat discovered me, and then the other person that would take support me is Wino. Wino is the dude with the big afro on all of Coolio's covers. It Takes a Thief. That's Wino. That's his producer. That's who produced all that music. So Wino knew me before he even was working with Coolio. He was developing me. And then I went off to juvenile hall, fucking up. My mom gave me the book, Soul on Ice. Then I got out of jail. And then by the time I got out of jail, Coolio was already, first album was already out. But I would talk to Coolio and Wino while I was in jail, just over the phone. And they would encourage me, So that whole thing was like, while I was gone, they were doing footwork that would benefit me. And again, it goes back into people having, integrity. Wino could have turned his back. He didn't owe me shit. Coolio didn't even know me, but I remember the first time I called Wino, and um, he's like, man, Coolio from Mad Circle. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting to work with him. I played him some of your shit. He say you dope, and Coolio got on the phone like, man, you dope, man. And I was like, damn, that's super cool. And I'm a stupid kid in juvenile hall. Then I'm in YA, and then I took a deal, went to the county, and all this other shit. But they supported me. Like that's why I say, like, it takes a village to raise a child, and those people had integrity, and they could have led me into the destruction, and they kept encouraging me to do to focus on my art, and that's why I'm grateful to them. Those are men that in spite of what their issues were, period. I, there's very few men I meet out here that have like depth of character that give a fuck about other men. Motherfuckers that care about themselves and bitches. And that goes for white men, Asian men, Jewish men. Niggas will fuck their friends over. They'll fuck their family members over for some pussy and to enrich themselves. And they'll give it to the first pretty piece of pussy they meet. Very weird about men, the hole in a man's soul. And so when I see people that want to help another young man, because we are the team, we are the warriors. So if you keep killing all the warriors, who gonna protect the village? So I'm very just grateful again. So to answer your question, yeah, I knew Coolio already. When I got out, Coolio took me on fucking. I'm going to Lollapalooza tours. Little nigga with a fucking super soaker and shit, running around, and he let me rap and give me some fucking per diem money, and then I got my deal, and there's nobody else rapping on my album. It's just them. It was supposed to be my team, my homeboys who I grew up with. Like I told you, the friend Bird and whatever. We had a collective, and they sold me out once some money came into play, so I didn't have them anymore. And then um, I didn't get around to putting Exhibit. Me and Exhibit had started hanging, but I didn't get around to finding something for Exhibit on. Um, in retrospect, he probably should have been on the first album, Exhibit, and then yeah, and then Coolio was.
Oh, fuck, my bad.
No,
You
it's
said
cool.
I muted you instead of me.
I know, yeah. No, I said Coolio was there, supportive, and so when I got an opportunity, and at that point, he was basically a fucking Drake of rap. This motherfucker was on top, and yeah, But for us, it was just loyalty. I was just like, and I wrote that song already thinking, yeah, this should be the song with Coolio on it. I was like, because at least it could fit into kind of where Coolio's personality was and into mine. So, I didn't want to put him on a fucking On Earth as It Is in Heaven. It doesn't fit Coolio. You know what I'm saying? So finding the right record where Coolio could shine and I could shine too. Sometimes it's like record selection. So we picked that record for Cool, and yeah, man, that's how it happened. It happened because it was naturally supposed to.
Yeah, Coolio passed away in 2002. I'm glad you can share, some of the things that you guys had done over the years. Rest in peace to him. And
Rest
it's
in
good
peace.
to hear that legends can, help out like that.
Yeah, man. He was a great brother. We Wino is the album out? I gotta check with Wino. I'm not sure. So Coolio's last album, Wino had all the stuff they were working on, and we shot. I know we shot a video. But more I forgot the name of it. It's Wino and Tretch from Naughty by Nature, because Tretch and Coolio were very, very close. Um, and so yeah, we shot a video for Coolio with his vocals on it not too long ago, maybe a year ago. So that song is out now. I can't think of the name on top, but it's really dope because it's it's kind of haunting because it's Coolio talking about how it started in his whole journey, and even when he passed away, how he wants the world to see him. It's almost like he was kind of predicting his journey. Um, yeah, it's a real you know, a real emotional record, but we were able to do that for him, and Wino produced an incredible, you know, final album for Coolio. So when that comes out, uh, we'll honor him some more. They say you don't never. They say you'll never really die until people stop saying your name. So ironically, the people that never die tend to be the bad people. Nobody never forgets Hitler. But you might forget your great great grandfather's name. So there's something to be said about being a dick. but I want to, obviously you want to live forever doing something positive. So we're gonna keep supporting Coolio and all these other great people. Some people I have a personal relationship with. So the Shock G's, certain people, they're missing out of my life. It is a little more personal than it is, about the music. But God bless Coolio.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a few executives that were pissed off that that single didn't drop in 1995. You know what
Right.
I mean? Probably would have pushed a few more units if you want to be real about it.
Definitely would have pushed. I mean, timing is everything, man. Timing. That's what separates regular people from pedophiles.
Timing?
Timing.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It, it,
Roman Polanski, you son of a bitch.
if she's 25 years old, it's cool. If you're looking at a 5-year-old, like, yeah, fucking 20 years from now, like, you're a pedophile. That's
Timing. Yeah, you're right.
timing
That's hilarious.
is what separates regular people from pedophiles. It's a
So,
bar.
your sophomore album, Rassassination, brought out some legends. How did you go from sampling Dr. Dre on your first album to now working with him?
Oh man, my friend Flip, who was a producer, and he worked highly with Mike Lynn and Krista Glove. He was he was a younger producer that worked under them, and they all had a great rapport. And so through those friendships, I got brought in, and Mike Lynn became vice president, I believe, of Aftermath, and Krista Glove was the producer over at Aftermath, and they brought me in one day, and I went up to the studio, and Solo Nights was out, and I remember, just going through records with Dre and writing and just he he felt like I had a talent, and he helped direct that, man. So I'm grateful. And gave
So,
me some opportunities. Yeah.
yeah, what was the recording process like with working with Dr. Dre?
Dre's a creative. Uh, what I would always notice with Dre is he would just play shit. He'll play shit, and then what I would always notice is, at least for me, in the times when I was in a session, he'd be like, "What you think of that?" I'd be like, "I kill that," and then he would just get a notebook. He'd be like, "We'll give you a pen." He's like, "Okay, go, bye." I'm like, all right. I'm like, is that simple? It's almost like audition. Like, you say you could do something with it, do something. I'm like, fuck, okay, give it here. So it used to be fun for me because I would, it seems that we had enough of an understanding of honesty where uh if I thought I could do something to something, he would give me the opportunity and I would gun it. 9 times out of 10, he's like, yo, that shit is dope. And then sometimes he would send me stuff and I'd be like, that shit is dope. And I remember one time he gave me a pen, he was like, yo, what would you do? What you gonna do? And I was like, not for me. And I remember I called it. I was like, um, the song, it was a beat that was incredible. And he wanted to, he was gonna make it like an intro. And I was like, no, this shit crazy. Please don't do that. And he's like, well, shit, what you gonna do? I was like, it ain't for me. I was like, and I remember I said, you need like a Tupac type of dude on it, like a Tupac personality. I was like, it's not me. Like, you need a gangster dude. Like, that's their brand. And then fast forward on 50 Cent's first album, they used the record. It made sense. And I remember, 50 played it not knowing that I'd had that conversation with Dre like a year before, and he played. We were backstage at an Eminem concert, Anger Management, and people sit around like, "Oh, what you been working on?" And we playing records, and he played that particular record. I was like, "I saved you, bro." He was about to make that shit this intro for fucking Truth Hurts album, bro. Like I told him he needed a Tupac type dude. It's like, and then it's you. Like, that made sense. I'm glad he saved it because it's the one that sounds like a shotgun gauge on 50's first album. It's like a shotgun cocking and shooting, and that's the percussions of the record on 50's first album. It's an ill record. It's on Get Rich or Die Trying, and if you listen to it, it's not no drums on it. The percussions is all racking a gauge, firing a gauge. Yeah. I would have to Google which the name of.
Heat. You're talking about Heat.
Yep.
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 The song, they actually did a street video to that where 50 and like Bang'em Smurf kidnapped somebody and like put him in the trunk and then drove him out to like the middle somewhere in Long Island where there's no houses around and shit.
Right.
But so who actually let me see. So who wrote the lyrics on Ghetto Fabulous? Dre had some fire lines on that. Ghetto, like Newport cigarettes.
Guilty as charged.
So you actually did some writing for Dre.
I'd love to do more. I like writing for other people. I've written for quite a few people. I like to write, man. I think writing conceptual records and shit like that. There's no shame in doing those, for being a ghostwriter. I think it's a shame in if you're trying to say like, I'm the greatest lyricist ever, and these is my bars. Then that's when it's like, don't do that. But when you're just writing songs to make a dope record, I think that's cool, man. I don't knock people for that. I enjoy, and I always say Dre delivers crazy because it doesn't matter who write. Like not Jay-Z wrote Still Dre, his delivery be killer. Like Dre always. And when Eminem forgot about Dre, like he can deliver a fucking. Like when Kendrick writes for Dre, he can say it. When whoever writes for Dre, he can pick their style up and do it good. He's a great style. He understands style. So, and a lot of people don't. I've written for people when I'm trying to get them to understand like the timing I have, the inflections, and they just don't get it. Dre gets it. So he's great to write for. He's fun to write for. I would love to write for people like him. I mean, I want to write. I want to write for Lady Gaga. I want to write pop records because I can. Yeah, I like Top Line. I just like writing conceptual songs and shit.
So Ghetto Fabulous was actually a Dr. Dre post Death Row record.
Been there, done that.
Huh?
Been there, done that. It was the tango beat on that song.
Did you get any pushback from Suge Knight or Death Row after working with Dr. Dre?
Nah. And I I have not a bad word to say about Suge Knight. He's never done anything negative to me. He's actually been extremely nice to me. I just didn't have the same experiences those brothers had. So, I wish nobody had bad experiences from anybody, but he just didn't give me. He didn't give me those problems. I didn't have those problems with Suge. I had happy times with Suge every time I saw him.
Sorry, you got some noise behind you. Is that just people talking, or is that like TV?
Is it loud?
Yeah,
you still here?
Yeah, I can still hear it.
Yo, is that better?
No, I can just hear like noise behind you.
Oh yeah, that's the spot next door. I'm not gonna be able to tell these fuckers.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know if it was TV or something, or does it sound like they're talking?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I not really much I can tell those people.
No, I feel you, man.
Sorry.
If Dr. Dre puts his stamp on you, you're pretty much a guarantee for success. Is there a reason Dre never formally like tried to sign you when he started Aftermath?
I was already signed. You can't sign something that's already signed. So I was already in my situation with Capitol Records. And again, I just don't think that company really had the correct vision for me. And at some point, our relationship deteriorated to the point where I think it became more sabotage than anything. So, you got to remember, I'm the person right before Eminem, so I I I was selected for success, obviously. Um, and he helped again. It's just that record didn't come out. Dre believed in me. I believed in myself. I don't think my company believed in me, or they just didn't like me again, and that was unfortunately, unfortunate for me. Um, you know, there was no record I could give that company. Period. They just didn't get it. They didn't know how to work me. Maybe they didn't like me. Some people theorized that they signed me to silence me. That they were Kaepernicking me from the beginning. That was the whole plan. I don't know, but can't live in the past. So all I can do is live in now, and I'm still making superior music. The album I did with Apollo Brown, I just put out this gutter record with Havoc from Mob Deep. So all we can do is what we can. Again, timing is everything, and so it wasn't the time. I mean, I'll be prepared every time. I'll keep making superior uh, art, and if that happens to be after I'm in my age prime, I'm not 22 anymore, then so be it. Or if it has to happen then when I'm dead, that'll suck, but I'm going to continue to make superior music. I'm superior to most the artists that people run around here screaming are the best lyricists, and I have a body of work to prove that. So that's all I can do. For me, that's all I can do is because anything else is like looking backwards, and that is not productive at all. So I can't live. I can't say coulda, shoulda, woulda. If it was like Marvel and I could jump in a different fucking multiverse, I would have been done it.
So, so what happened with your third album, Van Gogh?
Yeah, so same thing. Companies merging, people not doing their job. Uh, Everybody sending out fucking resumes while my record was shooting videos, and a new regime came in, new president, new vice presidents. One of those people happened to be a lady named Wendy Day. We did a handshake deal about um, shelving the album because nobody had done none of their work, and that was like 2 weeks before the album came out. And then we would build a new album around based on maybe keeping some of those songs. They would erase my debt because they failed. The company acknowledged they failed me, and we did a handshake deal with my attorney and her and their attorney. And then about a month later, when it was time to like draw all the paperwork up, then she lied and reneged. So we were off to a bad start, and that was kind of the beginning of the end. So yeah, that killed Van Gogh, which really killed the Golden Child. And the Golden Child was with the premiere record. I had a Kanye record. I had another Dr. Dre record, and it was just became a big fucking fight. Period. With that company, like again, it became personal. And Wendy Day was a big, not Wendy Day, Wendy Goldstein. I'm sorry. And yeah, she just became a really bad person. Ludacris and them tried to step in. They were gonna sign me, so they didn't have to deal with me. And she just made it personal and tried to ruin my career. She actually said things like his career's dead. This power. She was showing me how powerful she was.
That's crazy. You had Ludacris and Disturbing the Peace on the table. I remember when Ludacris actually gave you a shout out on was that the Revenge of the Spit or was that the
Yeah,
Evil
the
Spot?
Revenge of the Spit. Revenge of the Spit. Yeah, but yeah, they went in. Shaka Zulu and them, and they went to go and Jeff. They went to go talk to my vice president and like, look, if you don't get along with Raz, you'll have Luda and we'll do DTP. And she said, no, his career's dead. Like, so it wasn't about business and money. It was her personal agenda against me, which I had done nothing to her. She was the liar, and that's what I'm talking about. This business is rough. It's a rough business. I didn't do
Another
anything to her. It sucks. So what was I supposed to do? Go beat her up or something? You know what I'm saying? I'm the crazy black guy. So it was all bad.
another problem Van Gogh seemed to have was losing the major single follow up, The Ghetto Fabulous. What went wrong with the Home Sweet Home song produced by
Nothing.
Alchemist?
It didn't. I didn't. We didn't lose it. That's such a misconception. If you even Google right now, there's vinyl that says "Home Sweet Home," Capital Party Records, Capital, blah blah blah. Like we were in the manufacturing stage. I didn't lose the record. We found out that Alchemist sold it twice. Um, I still used it, literally. So I put it in. I don't know why I can't find that video no more. I don't know. Maybe because Capital don't care, but probably Def Jam does. That somehow they did a cease and desist that they can't do. But anyway, I had a song called "Back It Up" that Rick Rock did, the same Rick Rock that did "Fabulous" and Jay-Z's "Change the Game." We do the song at the top of the video. We do it for like 30 seconds. Then I say, fuck this beat. And then I go into the new song. The song, and I did it, had it like that sequenced on the album. It was my record. It's paid for, everything. What really occurred was the record was bought, paid for. We were manufacturing vinyl. Found out that Alchemist double sold the beat before our vinyl came out. My lawyers, Capitol Records, the round building, well, they're not my I would say Capitol's attorneys said, "Hey, we'll just cease and desist them. Let's do that." And what I thought was, it's a Monday, and Jadakiss is shipping because we're just now knowing that this record was on the project. This has been happening for 2.5, 3 months. So they manufactured vinyl. They did all kind of shit because he thought he had a record. I've had the record for 8 months or something. So my machine takes longer to get done because I have dumb fucking people like Wendy Goldstein and whatever. And I was still finishing up my album. That wasn't like it wasn't like the last song on my album. I was still creating an album, so it wasn't like it was a big rush to do anything. We were going, we mixed, mastered the record, and then we're gonna make a vinyl, shoot a video, make it kind of a discreet record, and then because I still had a Dre record, I still had not two Pharrell records, two Scott Storch records, I had a Kanye record, like so. I'm 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 loaded for bear already. So our timeline was different than their timeline. That was the last song Jadakiss did because it's the last. Because Al, he sold him this beat at the last minute. That wasn't to be sold. Now, what you just have to understand is, if I decided that Monday, let's just say today's the 5th. Let's say that was, we found out. I'm gonna help you out here and make it relative for people to really understand this. Uh, we found out that Friday, which would have been the 30th. That's when everybody found out that Alchemist sold the beat twice. On Saturday, my friend called me from New York and said, Funk Master Flex again is playing your record, but you ain't on it. Why the locks on it? And then I have to explain to him, well, we just found out yesterday that Alchemist sold the fucking beat twice. But why the fuck is so Rough Riders found out because our A&Rs were in LA together at the Capitol building when they found it. They played the record. He was like, "Hey, that's our beat," and he played mine. They took it to Funk Flex, and Flex unwittingly spiked it, and the record blew up. So now we're in where we at? We on the 5th. So let's just say Monday the 3rd, I go back in the office. And so it's only been Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. When I go in the office, Capitol's lawyers, the round building that has the Beatles and all kind of shit, say, "Yeah, we're just gonna cease and desist it. It'll be over with." Period. We have the paperwork. We will shut this shit down in a fucking New York minute. It's dead. We're killing it. I decided, because I'm a fan of Jadakiss, not this wasn't about Alchemist. I just said, well, you know they're gonna have to, to do the shipping platinum, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's on. Obviously, it's on the vinyl. We just found out Friday, but they've been under the assumption that state record they manufactured CDs and vinyls and he's shipping platinum. If you make them cease and desist that, you'll kill his career. You'll kill this dude. And to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't want it done to me. So I try not to put out energy that I don't want being done to me. They say hurt people hurt people. I've been hurt. I don't want to hurt other people. I think that's a fuckboy way of looking at the world. That you burned me, I'm gonna go burn other little kids. That's fucking weird. And so what I decided was I told them I didn't want to do that. I said, let them do what the fuck they gonna do with the record. I'm gonna put it on. We can already do what the fuck we want to. We can win. If dicks come out, we always prove we own it. So who cares, man? It ain't even the most important record on my album. So who gives a fuck? We got this Dre shit. We got this Kanye shit. Who gives a fuck? That's the only reason, man. I hate every other narrative because it's fake and it's not true. Alchemist is a fucking liar. That's it. That's the only thing that ever happened with the record. I didn't destroy Jada's career because that would have got Alchemist killed in the streets of New York, and it business-wise it would have affected his career, and I wouldn't want that done to me because I assumed that he didn't know. He just bought a dope beat. Now, if I felt like everybody was in on it and had done that, I would have Monday destroyed it, and we wouldn't be having this story. We'd be talking about how Alchemist died mysteriously, and there used to be a deluxe or whatever, and that my record, and then my shit still probably would have flopped because my company was whack, but we'd have a different story. So I think I did the right thing by trying to give a fuck about an artist the way I want to be treated. I inadvertently helped a bitch ass nigga because Alchemist is a bitch ass nigga and a fucking liar. And then I'm just sick of having to readdress that story because that's the truth. You can go to Capitol, we can prove it with whatever. The rest of that is fucking lies. There's nothing true about it. I'm the good guy who fucking asked for whatever reason, Priority Capital hated, EMI hated fucking Def Jam. I don't know why they didn't like them. They had their own personal issues about soundtracks or something where they didn't like them. So they were very happy to do a cease and desist. And I'm the only reason why that cease and desist didn't happen.
Yeah, I said earlier, man, that was your major follow-up to the Ghetto Fabulous record. Like I kind of looked at it like that, and you were left without a major single for the Van Gogh project.
But the Van Gogh wasn't going to come out anyway. That was the whole thing. We were going to hold it back.
With that damn
I should, could have, should have, would have, man. If I,
But you were on some Van Gogh shit. You were on some Van Gogh shit because I got to ask, how did you get locked up for 19 months on a DUI? You know what I mean? This day and age, I've heard people getting 2 days for a DUI. Did you have some time above your head or something?
No, I just had, that was my controlling case. I had so many, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I had open cases. I had all kind. I was on probation. It was a whole bunch. So it just added up, and basically the judge just looked at me and just said, "You keep breaking the law all the time. You just do whatever you want to." And it was kind of true. It's kind of out here with no respect for the law. I didn't have respect for the law. That's what the judge did say. I remember the judge pulled out my rap sheet. Is a book, and the book was I thought it'd be this big. That shit was kind of big, and I was like, fuck. And then it was reading stuff, and I was like, oh shit, I did do that. And then some of it I didn't really do. Some shit you get caught and you can't tell your friends, so whatever. Yeah, I did it. I mean, I didn't admit I did it, but you're gonna say I did it. I got to take a deal or whatever, whatever. So it was just a culmination of not respecting the law. And then it fucks, it becomes cumulative. And the judge felt like I had skated accountability for a long time, which I feel like the judge was right, to be honest. I got in the way. My dad's a fucking police officer. I think I got favoritism sometimes when I went to court. I think I've had some privilege. I'm not going to sit here in front and lie to you. You know what I'm saying? So it was about time. And that was cool. And because maybe if I didn't get all that anyway, I probably would have just did more stupid shit. And at some point, you got to grow up and not do stupid shit. So, it is what it is.
Where did you do your 19 months? Where did they house you for that crime?
So I went to multiple pens. They don't just sit you somewhere. In in general, I was in Corcoran too, and then I went up to Folsom, all the way up north. It looked like a fucking castle, like an evil haunted castle. Folsom, like yeah, like what's his name? Johnny Cash.
So you get out and you release institutionalized. Tell me why the title institutionalized. You know, I mean, I know why the title, but after 19 months, did you really feel institutionalized?
No, but I had an institutionalized behavior. That was my first time going to jail. I told you, juvenile hall, cell on ice. I'm in a jail cell. The first album I'm in a jail cell. I've been predicting that I'm fucking up. I was fucking up before the rap. The rap didn't change me from me. I kept fucking up. So I was to a certain degree institutionalized. I did keep doing shit that would create recidivism within me keeping returning to jail. And it could have, what a lot of my friends always say is, think of all the things you didn't get caught for. So when they catch you, you might, especially if it ain't some, some ridiculous shit, then you kind of got off easy. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a symbolic of it coming full circle that even before my first album, I keep finding myself at the mercy of law and order, the judicial system, and I end up on the losing end of it. So I need to stop.
Did you write a lot of the lyrics for this project while you were actually in the cell?
Exhibit, fucking, I called Exhibit. The answer is yes. I wrote. He's like, you got to write 50 songs like Pop, nigga. When I was locked up, and then I was like, whatever, because I wouldn't write. I didn't write in jail at first in prison. I didn't write until he said that. I was like, all right, whatever. So I wrote like 100. I wrote 100 songs, and then yeah, some of those are the songs that I use for institutionalized. But then fast forward uh all the way, that was like institutionalized is like what year? 2007 or something, 8,
2005.
5. Wow. So yeah, 2014 I did Blasphemy with Apollo Brown, and most of that was written when I was in prison from then. So I didn't even use those. The point that I'm making is most of what I wrote in prison I never used. I didn't even use. Yeah, I started anew, and then like yeah, I kept like How to Kill God, that album concept and that song. I wrote all that in 2004, and it didn't come out until 2014. And I still have those notebooks, and there may be some things that I just don't think the world's ready for. So I just kind of keep them until I think the world's ready for it. Because I feel like sometimes I write some really conceptually brilliant things, and because I'm not popular, they get overlooked, and then uh, inferior rappers get super credit for doing some shit. So that I've either done, approached, did better, or at least more insightfully, and then somebody gets all the credit. So I'm just like, let me just hold it until I can get people's attention, and then I can show them that I'm better than whatever the fuck they keep thinking is cool. Um, so I sit on shit like wine. I always say I serve no rhyme before it's time. So that stuff, it may come out when I'm 80 years old. If I'm fortunate to live that long, and I finally get the opportunity to be heard the way I think uh, every artist deserves a fair shot. I don't think I've ever been given a fair shot for whatever reason. I think I've been pretty much sabotaged the entire time.
Is it true that you violated parole because you went to the BET Awards?
Yeah, yeah, for the most part, yeah. So then they threw me back.
Oh, my bad. Let me take that again. So, I got a legendary question to ask you. Is it true that you violated parole because you went to the BET Awards?
Yeah, in Atlanta, I wasn't supposed to go anywhere, and the shit was on TV. and then the offers. I think there's a CC1 and the CC2 is the person above them, and the CC2 apparently saw it, and then yeah, I got in trouble. But it was that's when Ti got arrested that year. It was in Atlanta, but I mean part of what I thought was weird was like, this is my job, and now you're telling me you want me to work and get out and get myself back together and be good to society, but they're telling me I can't do anything that my job entails, which is weird. So I thought that was weird. Yeah.
Let me see. Uh, so let me see. So you had mentioned Def Jam Records earlier. Did you ever get the chance to take a meeting with Def Jam?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Before I signed to Priority, I took meetings at like 4 different labels. Def Jam flew me out. I met. Um, I was brought in by Chris Lighting, rest in peace. Walked around the facility. It was my choice. That's where I wanted to be. I was brought to Priority. I was brought to Deaf American, which was Rick Rubin. I mean, those offered. These are people that gave me offers. Like I had a bidding war and Loud, but they didn't tell me about Loud. My production company, because I would have picked Loud instead of Priority, so they didn't tell me, which is fucked up. They had. I didn't even find that out until Rifkin just told me like last year, which is crazy. People's agendas, man. But the only reason why I didn't pick Def Jam when we went out was because besides having all the greatest MC, I picked the wrong place for the right reason. I'm from LA. Def Jam's in New York. They got LL Cool J, fucking Public Enemy. They got everybody fucking dope ever. And my whole thing was, I'm a young dude. How am I, if things go wrong, how do I get over there to solve them? And there's so many bigger dogs where I might get lost in the fucking, Method Man, Wu Tang. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, fuck, dude. So as much as I wanted, my biggest dream, as of course, I think any rapper back then, you would want to sign a Def Jam. And I thinking I was being the logical, smart person, did not choose Def Jam only because I felt like, well, I'm so far away, and I want to be hands on and try to make sure that I give myself a good chance. I don't want to get lost in the sauce with all these big dogs, so I'll just pick Priority because at least maybe they get it, because I thought they get it because they have Ice Cube and they got Snoop, so they understand I'm a West Coast artist and whatever. So I picked the wrong place for the right reason. But again, they did not tell me that Loud, because I would have signed it Loud and we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. I'd be fucking winning because Rifkin got it. From Exhibit to Mobb Deep to fucking Pun, everybody was different, and he knew how to fucking work their records. And
Even
and
Dev.
and Rifkin literally said, he said, "You the only artist I ever tried to sign that didn't sign to me." And I was like, I didn't fucking even know that, because that wouldn't have been the case. I would have been signed to you. And so, you that's the journey of life, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody did fucking had their own agenda and didn't even let me know. But yeah, Def Jam, I had the opportunity. I was able to, again, rest in peace, Chris Lighting. I was able to go view the facilities. I would later have a conversation at a bar. I was sitting at the bar in New York at a club, and fucking Russell Simmons walked up, and this is after Ghetto Fabulous, the Dr. Dre shit. And I remember I was just having a drink with this chick, and fucking Russell Simmons walked up and was just like, "Yo, I could even." He said, "Yo, I could at least got you gold with that," and that broke my heart, because I knew it was true. He's like, "I could that with Dr. Dre, I could at least got you gold, Raz," and I was like. And then that's when I started really understanding how much it wasn't me, that this company was failing me, to be perfectly honest. And because Dr. Dre knew that. We're all like, dude, you got a fucking hitter. You're good. You should win with this. They couldn't get like I had a company that failed me. I don't know if it's on purpose. I don't know if it's just just incompetent. But there's a part that's when I sued to get out of my contract. There's language in the contract that says if you feel that your company is either unable, I'm almost quoting it word for word. If you feel that the company is either unable and or unwilling to support you, that means to get out of your contract. That's what I cited to leave Priority. They were either unable, like incompetent, or they were doing it purposely to fuck me up. And that was kind of when it just all hit me. Dre's, everybody's dejected, da da da. I done left LA, I'm in New York. And then when fucking Russell Simmons takes the time to tell you, yeah, that was pretty easy. I could have fucking made that goal, at least. The fuck is wrong with your team? What's wrong with those people over there? And I'm just like, I don't know, man. And then having to hear other rappers say it. The fuck is wrong with them, man? Outcasts. Having niggas say, yo, what the fuck? Like, nigga, this shit fire. What the fuck is wrong with those people over there? What you fucking star. Ludicrous. Niggas saying, like, bro, the fuck is wrong? What do you do? Do they get it? I'm like, I don't know, bro. So yeah, man, it's been a rough journey. I hate to be that person, bro. I gotta get out of here. If shit. If you ever want to pick up on it from here, then I'm down. But I gotta bust a move.
No, I feel you. Could you just give me a quick drop? Yo, it's Kass. Shout out Mikey T, the movie star.
Yeah. What's up, y'all? This is the Waterproof MC, chilling with my brother, Mikey T, the movie star. Lights, camera, rhythm.
Yo, Raz, I appreciate you, man. And yeah, anytime you're available, I still got all the questions right here. We can just wrap up. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, let's do it. I'll email you once I get